The Zergling can be pretty good against the Marine in the early to mid game, because as long as you have a relatively small group of Marines, the Lings can get a nice surround, and in this case the Lings kill the Marines very quickly. But as the game progresses, the Ling gets worse, because if you have like a big chunk of Marines, the Lings are never going to get a good surround on that. And another thing is, once the Terran gets the Stimpack upgrade, the damage output of the Marine gets so high that it will often just kill the Ling before the Ling can even attack. And also the speed boost of the Stimpack allows the Marine to kite the Zergling. So overall, I would say the Zergling sucks a little bit against the Marine. I would put it into C tier. Next we have the Hydra, and the Hydra has 80 HP and costs as much as 2 Marines, and 1 Marine has 40 HP. So the Hydra has the same amount of HP per cost as the Marine, and the Hydra also has the same range as the Marine. So that is range 4 upgradable to 5. So the two units are pretty similar, but one big difference is the Hydra has an explosive damage attack, and this means that the Hydra just deals 50% damage against the Marine, because the Marine is a small unit. The Marine, on the other hand, has a normal attack, and therefore the Marine deals 100% damage against the Hydralisk. So the Hydra is always at a disadvantage against the Marine. The Hydra never trades well against the Marine. It's also a C tier counter. Next we have the Ultralisk, and the Ultralisk can be pretty good against the Marine, and the reason is just tankiness. So the Ultra has 400 HP and 1 base armor. If you have the 3 armor upgrades, it has 4 armor, and if you have the additional Ultra armor upgrades, it has 6 armor. And a maxed out Marine does 9 damage, and of course it's very hard to kill a unit with 6 armor when you have an attack of 9 armor. So the Ultralisk is good. It's, I think, almost an S tier, but I'm still hesitant to put it in S tier because, number one, it is a very late gamey unit. It needs a hive, you need the Ultralisk cavern. So yeah, it's a late gamey unit. You pretty much need the upgrades. You need +3 armor and the Ultralisk armor upgrade. If you don't have that, it's not even that tanky. You also need Ultra speed. If you don't have that, the Ultra can be kited. And another thing is the Ultra damage output sucks, because one Ultralisk just deals as much damage as 2 Zerglings approximately, but of course it is much more expensive. So I would put the Ultra into A tier, because yes, it is very tanky, just very hard to kill, but it doesn't deal a lot of damage and it requires vast amounts of tech to be viable. But it's still good, I think, against the Marine. Next we have the Scourge. Scourge doesn't have an anti-air attack. It's a D, of course. And next we have the Mutalisk. And the Mutalisk is a unit that is interesting. I think I would put it in this tier list into C tier or something, because one Mutalisk, for the price of one Mutalisk, you can get 4 Marines. And 4 Marines, even if you stim them, they have the same HP amount as the Mutalisk, but their DPS is something like, I think, 8 times higher or something. So if you just A-move the Mutalisk against the Marine can get a very hard win, but it's not black and white, because the Mutalisk is a unit that is very much reliant on micro. So for example, if you're good at stacking the Mutalisk on one each other, or if you're good at, like, let's say, abusing high ground. So if the Marines don't have high ground vision and you approach them from the high ground and pick off single Marines, the Mutalisk can be much higher. If you have good micro, it can be much higher. But for the average player, I would put it into C tier. The stats of the Mutalisk at fighting are just very weak against the Marine. Okay. Next we have the Devourer. And the Devourer is an easy D tier. It doesn't have an anti-ground attack. And next we have the Lurker. And the Lurker is very good. There's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, the Lurker outranges the Marine. It has a range of 6. The Marine has a range of 4, upgradable to 5. Number two, it deals 20 normal damage per shot. So it usually always 2 shots the Marine. Number 3, it has a splash damage. And this is, of course, very powerful. So if you have like just a couple of lurkers, I think it gets nearly unbeatable for the Marine because, yeah, the splash damage and the longer range of the lurker can just decimate even groups of Marines. So I think the lurker is indeed an S tier counter to the Marine. Next we have the Guardian, and the Guardian is pretty good, I think. So number 1, it vastly outranges the Marine. Guardian has a range of 8, so you always get a couple of free hits on the Marine. Number 2, the Guardian does 20 normal damage to the Marine, so it usually always is going to two-shot the Marine. That's nice. And another thing about the Guardian, it actually has 2 armor, and having 2 base armor is powerful against the unit that just deals 6 base damage. So this means that a certain good percentage of the Marine damage output is always going to be mitigated. So I think the unit is pretty good. I think I'll put it into A tier. But the thing about the Guardian is that you, at least at high level, you usually never going to see the Guardian against Marines because it is good, but I think it also offers no advantage over the Lurker because the Lurker always also outranges the Marine. The Lurker also deals 20 damage. The Lurker has splash damage, which the Guardian hasn't. And the Lurker, you can get the Lurker at layer tech, whereas the Guardian requires hive tech. So the Guardian is good, but it just doesn't have anything that the Lurker already has, okay? So we usually don't see it. The Queen. So let's look at the spells of the Queen. Number 1, Spawn Broodling is pretty useless. Spawn Broodling kills an biological target in one hit, but you only want to use the spell against high value targets, like let's say High Templar. It's just very wasteful using it against the Marine. It's useless. The Parasite spell gives you vision. It's not a fighting spell, not a counter. Next we have the Ensnare spell, and I think Ensnare is actually pretty powerful against the Marines because this spell reduces the attack frequency and it reduces the movement speed of a bunch of units in an area of effect for, I think, 20 seconds or something. And this is pretty strong against Marines because when you use the spell against Stim Marines, the Marines lose the benefits of Stim. So the Stim Marines fire at a rate of a non-stimmed Marine, and they also move at a rate of a non-stimmed Marine. So I think this is a really strong use case of the spell against Marines, and the spell is also pretty cheap. It just costs 75 energy, and the Ensnare spell also requires no research. So I think it's a pretty strong spell against Marines, and therefore I will put the Queen into B tier. And then we have the Defiler, and the Defiler is, I think, very strong against Marines. So number 1, the spell Dark Swarm creates a cloud, and inside this cloud, every unit will be invulnerable to ranged attacks. And this is, of course, extremely strong against Marines because if you put a Dark Swarm on the map, and if you put any kind of unit in the Dark Swarm, the Marines will deal 0 damage to this unit, okay? And this means that you can use any ground, it only applies to ground units, but you can use any ground unit you want. You can use Lynx, Lurkers, Hydras, Ultras, whatever, as long as they are under the Dark Swarm, they are invulnerable to Marines. So I think just for this spell, the Defiler is an S tier counter to the Marine, but the other spell, the Plague, is also strong. So Plague infests units in an area of effect, and then it will drain up to 250 HP over a lifespan of 20 seconds or so, but it will not kill the unit. So the unit will remain with 1 HP. And using the Plague spell against the Marine is a little bit wasteful because the Marine just has 40 HP. But on the other hand, because Marines always appear in groups, there's just a lot of targets for the Plague spell in the area of effect. And number 2, Marines are accompanied by medics usually, and the medics will try to use their heal to heal up the plagued Marines. And by doing so, the medics will waste all of their energy. So this spell is also pretty powerful, but use case number one, of course, is the Dark Swarm. Next, we have the Sunken Colony. The Sunken Colony is both good and bad. So, number one, what's good? The Sunken Colony has 2 armor, and 2 armor against a unit like the Marine that deals 6 damage per attack is strong. But on the other hand, the Sunken Colony has explosive damage, and this means that it deals just 50% damage against the Marine because the Marine is small. So it's a B tier. Next, we have this guy here, the Infested Terran. So number one, you usually won't get this unit because to get it, you need to infest an enemy Terran command center, which is rarely ever possible. And number two, this unit deals 500 suicidal splash damage, but it's explosive damage, so it deals just 50% or 250 damage against the Marine. But this is still a huge overkill, so using this unit against the Marine is pretty wasteful. It's also not cheap. It costs 100 minerals and 50 gas. And another thing about this unit is that if you kill this unit, it will just die and deal no damage. So it actually needs to come into melee range to deal damage. But if you just kill it before it can approach, it just dies and deals no damage. So overall, this unit is a C tier counter. Alright dudes, thanks for watching.